I'm all about being intentional when you're dating and saying that it is so possible to find your person easily and quickly. But just because you find them easily and quickly does not mean you rush things. This is so important, and I really need you guys to hear me, what I'm saying. And sorry, my voice is like just getting back. I lost my voice. I'm getting over a cold, but I'm still showing up for you. I made a comment on some person's Instagram, and it's completely misconstrued. Anyway, it's hard to communicate things on IG sometimes, and people just take shit and like do whatever with it. So I'm like, let me clarify. Let me do an episode to clarify this. Just because I have my dating method, right, where you can go out, and I knew that Will, he was the first guy that made it past 1 hour because of the way that I date. And yes, that sounds crazy, but it's not. And it's just very intentional. And I had gone through so many breakups and heartbreaks because I would keep giving guys chances. I would keep, brushing things under the rug. I would give them chances. And, this guy on his IG was saying, oh, you don't really know if you like someone until the 6th or 8th date. And I just didn't agree with that one point, and I had to say why. Because like a lot of times we are just tolerating so much, we're trying so hard to make things work with the wrong person. Like that is something that I need for people to like really start to understand. It's that, it takes time. Bullshit. It doesn't take time to, wait a second, hear me out. It doesn't take time. If you have the intention, you know your worth, you know what you want, you have clarity, you can tell on the first date to second date, okay, max, if a guy is 100%, okay, not your person if you're not aligned. And then it's bye-bye time. There's no way that you need to go out 6 times with someone to see if, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. Okay. Now, like, this is what I'm saying. So stay with me. Someone that's not your person, and if you're very intentional, you don't have to be giving them date after date to try to see if they ever become the person that you want. You don't have to try to fix them or change them, because I did that for years. Okay. But that being said, even though I saw Will and I met him and he was the first guy that made it past 1 hour on a date with me, I took shit slow. I did not rush things. I was patient. We didn't become exclusive boyfriend and girlfriend until we were 4 months in. Like, I really need you to hear that, because it's interesting how some people have something to say, which first of all, they don't even have their person yet. So and they make it sound like I'm some exception to the rule. And that's bullshit. Like, there are women that are implementing this method and finding their person. And I need to make that clear. I don't want it to be like, oh my gosh, it's just me, lucky me. No, because that only keeps you playing the game. That only keeps you thinking, oh, that's the happily ever after for her. And love at first sight, he said. It's not love at first sight at all. It's not. And this is like, I know I get all riled up. No, because I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood, And I feel like so many coaches have different things to say, and that's fine. And you could take pieces from wherever you want. But I need to make sure that my message is understood, right? And my message is not to rush things. I'm not for love at first sight. I'm all about being authentic, being open and vulnerable early on, and giving space to them so you guys can connect and see if there's a real emotional connection early on. And, if you can reflect back and think about your relationships, think about the ones that have failed, right? Was there writing on the wall? Were there any red flags in the first, second date? I guarantee you there were. Like if you're asking questions, if you're digging deep, if you're being fearless, you can find shit out early. But what happens is we're all playing the game. Everyone's like, oh no, don't scare him away. And bullshit. You just end up going date after date with some guy, getting attached to him, probably getting physical. Even kissing is too much. Even holding hands. Like, I know, like this sound like this is like Bridgerton shit. Like, but I feel like it's like all of this getting physical really does make you more attached to that person, right? So it's like, I don't want you wasting time on the wrong person and missing the right one. Okay. And that's the whole thing. And that doesn't mean once you really start to click with someone, I don't want you to rush into it and be like, oh my God, and now we're going to get married. And that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm so about taking things slow, especially with the physical. You know, I'm really big on that. And if you follow me, I talk about that. And I need you to hear that because I used to lead with the physical. Okay. So it's so important that it's all about just actually connecting on an emotional level, right? Like talking about things that freaking matter, not surface level bullshit, you know? And that requires you to have your guard down. But like the more that you're dating, the more that you're trying to make shit work with the wrong guy, and you get played or you get disappointed and you're investing this time, you start to lose faith. You start to feel fucking hopeless. You're like, does it even exist? And you start to just settle for anybody. And that's what's interesting is like who's giving advice? Like I'm saying, like, I just feel like people pay attention to who's giving you advice. Okay. Because I feel that we're just, some people are perpetuating the bullshit and the dating game. Okay. And I feel like it's time we change things up. I want you to be empowered. I want you to have clarity. I don't want you to be scared of, oh my God, am I going to fall for this again and like invest my time, and you have your guard up. There has to be a shift where you are starting to say, wait a second, my love life is a shit show because I have made decisions to make something work with these wrong people. Fuck, I could have seen that a long time ago and I didn't, and I stayed. And you could own that. And then you could say, well, moving forward, how can I make sure that I could see those signs early on? Okay, that this is something that's key, is being able to reflect and learn from your mistakes and own it. You know, it's not about, you know, poor me. Oh my God, I was done wrong. I know this sounds harsh, but like, I feel like the only way you're going to have your happily ever after is by you being the author of your own story, not the freaking victim. And, you know, when I was playing the victim, I never found my happily ever after. I had to own it. I had to say, I've been tolerating so much. I've been sweeping things under the rug. I've been just tolerating. And why? And why? It's because I didn't believe maybe I was worthy. And maybe you don't believe you're worthy. And the more that you're in the different relationships that don't serve you, the more your self-esteem is going to crumble. Okay? You see that cycle of endless heartbreak? So yeah, I'm on a mission to really change the world, seriously, one freaking amazing woman at a time. I want to empower you. I don't want you to think that this only happened to me. This only happens to the women I work with. No, I'm getting messages from women about my podcast, that their love life, that they're finding their person because they listen to the podcast, they're implementing, they're trying. Like, I'm telling you something, there is so much power within you. And I'm trying to ignite that and trying to help you. And so I just want to make sure that, and you're like, I don't even see that comment on IG on that person's. No, but this all just happened last night and today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do a podcast about this because, you know, it's just getting so misunderstood. And I'm like, no, I'm not about rushing things. I'm not about love at first sight. And I'm not the exception to the rule. Okay. I am the way that I dated with intention, I took action. I saw my worth. I had clarity. I didn't waste a minute on the wrong guy. And I found my person. And so we took our time to create and make that relationship a real relationship and call it and be exclusive 4 months in, right? But I feel like I need you to believe that this exists for you too. I need you to dig into yourself. And the way you do that is by really owning, your experiences. Reflect and write about it. Journal about it. What has been your love story so far? Have you been stuck in patterns? What part of it is on you? Instead of pointing the fingers at everybody else, own it. Because once you start owning it, you can write out how the rest will go. You know what I mean? I hope that this is getting to you, because right before I got on here, I took a breath and I was like, I just feel like someone needs to hear this. And I needed to resonate. And I don't want you to settle and tolerate relationships that hurt you or dim your light. I hope that you feel what I'm saying. I get emotional talking about this because, I've been for years. And it's interesting how, even though it's been years ago, I've been married to my person 15 years, right? But it's like, how that goes. When you go through heartache and experiences, I can put myself and I can remember how that felt. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, that as a little girl, you have this happily ever after, and it's slipping away. So I just don't want you to give up on that. I want you to know that it exists. I'm not the exception to the rule. This happens. It's happening with the women I work with. It's happening. It's all around you. Open your eyes. Start believing it. Look for it. Look for signs to believe it exists. And you'll find it. Okay. So with all that being said, I really hope you guys are putting yourself out there openly and vulnerably. Trust your gut. And don't settle for anything less than crazy love. Okay? Because it has to be crazy love.